Hello, they call me Dr. Herino Menya. I work with the African Institute for Mathematical Sciences. I'm currently sitting in my office. The African Institute for Mathematical Sciences is a Pan-African institution. We work across 6 countries in Africa, but I'm based in Kigali. So I'm in charge of the teacher training program for mathematics and sciences in Rwanda, teachers for maths and sciences in Rwanda. I work with around 3,500 teachers directly, and within our program, we do other activities, including community engagement and policy issues and resourcing of schools. I want to put a caveat in this introduction. The Mary J. Africa Teacher Talks is what I would consider as one of my extracurricular activities. So it is not necessarily being hosted on the platform of the AIMS or AIMS Teacher Training Program. It's something that I'm doing as an African who is passionate about education, and therefore my outreach or my interest is not just limited to maths and science in terms of education. My interest around education transcend my other interest in STEM education. So this is something that I'm doing outside the official platform of AIMS, but I would say that the support and the encouragement and the environment that we have in AIMS is part of what is allowing me to do this. The other thing I would like to do is just to give a little bit of a sense of why are we having this talk? What is part of my vision? I will say this vision will evolve, and I want it not to be my vision, but to be our vision as teachers who teach in Africa and Africa teachers at heart. But basically what I would say right now is that part of what informed the initiating of these conversations is that, one, I know and understand that teaching and learning is very contextually grounded. In other words, context where the learning takes place and where the teaching takes place actually informs what goes on and the quality of teaching and learning. And therefore, it is important that within the African continent, because we are a unique space, that we have opportunity to have conversations one amongst each other. Many times, we find ourselves making so much reference to what's going on and wanting to borrow from what's going on outside the continent. So most of our policy documents would have references in terms of what's going on in Finland, what's going on in Europe, or another country, or even in the US, or whichever. And that normally presents a gap because many a times we lose out on contextual issues. Now, you will appreciate that the title of this first series that we're going to have is Education in Africa in the Times of Corona. So coronavirus, we know that coronavirus has affected the whole world, and it has created or presented to us with a new normal in terms of all the sectors, beginning with health, but of course, because life is so much intertwined, it's affecting all sectors, and education is one of the sectors that is massively affected by the pandemic. Schools across the world have generally been closed for so long. Now schools are beginning to open. So the question that we are having is, in this new normal, what might education look like for us in Africa? If you remember, when the pandemic started, part of what the people in the health sector did was that there was a lot of conversation amongst the health practitioners, because this is a new normal. Nobody has been this way before. So there has been a lot of conversation amongst the health practitioners. At the beginning, I believe it was even more intense, but that conversation is continuing. And it is only through that conversation that was sharing of ideas, sharing of best practices, and ability to learn from one another. Now that presented a lot of opportunity and acceleration in how the pandemic has been addressed health-wise. And in the same manner, I believe part of what will allow us to address the issues, the challenges, and the opportunities that the pandemic brings to us in the education sector, part of what will help us is if we create the same kind of platform where educators talk one to another. And that is already going on in the other parts of the world. And when I've listened to some of those conversations from the other parts of the world, I've always felt that Africa is missing in that conversation. And having a kind of Afrocentric conversation and reflection on what opportunities and challenges the coronavirus presents to us has been missing. Even more importantly is that when those conversations tend to happen, they're happening at the very high level, the policy makers. Yet it is us, the teachers, who go to class or who will have to go to class. So that's part of the reason that I saw the need to start this talk. The Mary J. Africa Teacher Talks will give us an opportunity to talk one to another, share ideas, explore the challenges together, and come up with innovative Africa-centric solutions to respond to the challenges or to take advantage of the opportunities that is brought about by the corona pandemic. And even beyond the corona pandemic, there's much that we should be able to learn from one another as Africa's teachers. So that basically is an overview as to why this was started. I believe that as we grow, as we continue to talk, it will keep refining itself. I believe today is going to be more of a mapping out of what are the core broad areas, and there will be need to now pick up specific areas and have conversations or talks in subsequent months.